Well, it is time for what should be our final set of races before we take down Caleb. And basically what that means is we are going to be doing the URL events. However, this does come with an asterisk. Now, because of how many URL events I have to do, and I'm going to put this up to medium because I know rap points don't really matter as much at this stage. I am now going to split this up into two parts, because as you can see here, we have a total of 9 URL events to do. We've done everything else we can do for our sponsor, and we begin with this, and it comes from Tom. Winter night, and sponsors will really start taking notice. You haven't exactly faced the toughest competition, but win this one, and you'll increase your chances of getting invited back. Don't screw it up. Tom, with my Ford Mustang basically having improved handling from what I was at before as a result of me putting on a unique suspension upgrade, I can guarantee screwing this up is one thing I'll be making sure not to do, especially since I've now bumped up the difficulty from easy to medium once again, because I no longer feel challenged, and I want to bring some of that challenge back. So we have an Eclipse, a Focus, an Evo 8, well, at least I can say I had more control that time, because of my suspension upgrade, and already I get ran into the back of. And already taking over 3rd place now. I reckon this is probably where the racing is gonna feel a bit more competitive now from the AI, because I have increased the difficulty from easy to medium, and also because, well, I want to split these up. So I will be recording the first 5 events of the stage 5 URLs, and then once I am done with the first 5, I will do the following 4 in the next episode, because, well, I figure for the sake of making the editing easier, and also for me to not export such a big video file for me to go through with this whole thing, I'm going to split this up into 2. So Russell is running in 2nd, Wes is running 3rd, and it's Kostas who is currently running in 4th. I'd assume Tom is somewhere at the back of the pack, if not at the back of the pack. So the racing itself is a bit closer now than it was before, but either way, still managing to pull out the advantages when I need to. And it looks as though this is where the racing is going to be more competitive from now on. But I will make sure to win, because that's what I always do. And that is our first race down. So I'd assume this is probably going to be a 3-race series, because the first race was only 3 laps. So we had in that race Russell, Wes, Kostas, Tom, and Stuart. And in terms of the other two cars we had in that race, they were an Audi TT and an Infiniti G35. Those are your race results after one race, and now let's move on to race number 2, which I figure is probably the best thing I can really do. Plus, with the tournament event, if I score maximum points, I probably will get 300 rap points anyway, so rap points don't really matter at this stage anymore because, well, we're basically just tournament racing now. If we can score maximum points in the tournament events, as of which most of the URL events basically are tournament events, then I think we should get 300 rap points, because we will have won all 3 of the tournament races. And because we're doing 3-lap races, that basically means it's going to be a 3-race tournament. Ironically, how we ended off the stage 4 URLs, more or less. And I literally landed on my side as I went through the corner. But that's okay, because I am leading. I can definitely say the atmosphere feels a lot more competitive now than it did before. Probably because I'm not having to worry about rep points quite as much. But yeah, so basically my plan is to do the first 5 URL events with the Mustang, and then I'll be doing the remaining 4 URL events with the Evo 8. That's basically what my plan is, because we have a lot of racing to do here, and typically that also means we have a lot of mileage to put in both these cars. It's also because, well, with the second part of the URLs, I just really want to give my Evo 8 a bit more airtime, if you know what that means. Because there is something else we need to do once we're done with the career mode. Because those of you who are veterans of this game, you will of course know that it's not just the events of the career that we need to go through, because there's a few blank spaces that we need to fill in. And 2 races down, I'm pretty sure I won by a decent margin as well. Yeah, 5.2 seconds over Kostas. Then it was Russell who came home 3rd, Tom 4th, Stuart was 5th, and it was Wes who came home 6th in the Audi TT. So those are your point standings, and now we have 1 race to go. And that is the last race of URL event number 1 of stage 5. So, same starting grid as before, with the Eclipse and the Focus on the front row. I'm lined up in the middle with the Evo 8. And already I totally lost track of where turn 1 was. Probably because I was not paying attention. But anyway, I think it's pretty much between myself and Russell now. Here's the guy in the Mitsubishi Eclipse as we now come off the first corner, and only 34 seconds to complete the first lap. That is pretty quick. That's almost short track levels of quick, or in this case with the game, street cross track levels of quick, because that's just how short the track is, or just how short it feels. It feels like it has the temperament of a short track, and that did not go down very well. Well, I think it's probably going to take me less than 2 minutes to complete this race as far as I'm aware. And using nitrous, blasting away from my competition, and what do you know, I win by over 5 seconds. Oh, correction. I won by less than 4 seconds over Russell. Tom was 3rd, Stewart was 4th, Wes 5th, and Kostas was 6th. So, 24 points to me, 16 points to Russell, 10 points to Kostas, 9 points to Tom, 7 points to Wes, as a result of him finishing in the lower half in those other 2 races, and Stewart came home in 6th with, ironically, 6 points. So 300 rep points, 7,000 in the bank, which now moves me up to 54 grand if I'm not mistaken. I'm now going to record a replay because of how we basically finished on a short track, or what basically felt like a short track, because it only took me 1.5 minutes to set 3 laps around this joint. But either way, I'm getting a replay of me and my Ford Mustang at Bayview Speedway. For America! I do also quite like the American flag vinyl, by the way, if you're asking. It actually looks pretty cool on this thing, and even though it is patriotic from someone who isn't American, I personally just really like the flag design, and knowing about how well it just embodies a car such as the Ford Mustang that's basically just living the American dream, more or less. Still, I'm not gonna lie, that was a pretty close and exciting race in my opinion. Huh. And just like that, the replay is already over. Okay, well, anyway. 1 URL event down, and still 8 URL events to go. However, for this first part of the URL events, I'll be splitting these up into 2, because I will be doing the other 4 URL events another day, because I know these will be long, and we unlock a new car, don't really care about that. I've already got all my cars secured, and now let's move on to number 2, and it comes from Borwin. Ain't no time to think, just do. The curbs and burns these guys can pull are off the hook, so stay on top. People still ain't impressed by you, so you best go hard. Literally the words I've had to live by for most of this game. But it depends on whether or not I can keep myself living up to those expectations. And hopefully that is one thing I can do, providing my PC doesn't give me any more problems. But since I'm splitting this up into two, it'll cause, hopefully, a few less problems. So we have a Ford Focus, a Peugeot 206, a Toyota Corolla, a Pontiac GTO, and I think the other car is a Nissan Sentra, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, it's a Lexus. Okay. Yep, that did not go the way I was wanting it to. Well, even though this car handles better, I can definitely say it's still very much a muscle car. In other words, it very much has a tendency to get loose in the corners if you upset the balance. That's basically the way I think rear-wheel drive cars are supposed to handle in this game, especially if they're muscle cars, because they're not designed to be as stable as four-wheel drive cars on corner exits. But either way, I'd still say this car handles pretty well. And I have a 2-second lead over Martin. Lawrence is running in third. And it looks like from here, I'm pretty much going to be pulling away with this thing. And both of these events, I think, are going to be 4-lappers. So what that means is this will be a 2-race tournament if both races are 4 laps, because I know the link is normally, because I know the number of races is normally linked to how many laps you do on each track. So Carvey is now up to 3rd, Lawrence has now dropped down to 4th. I'd assume Borwin is somewhere at the back of the pack. And I can definitely say this has definitely been, without question, a hard-fought effort for me to get all this way. And then, once we are done with the URL events, there's literally just one more race to go. And then once we are done with that, the career mode will basically be finished, and getting a little bit of oversteer there on the corner exit, but still able to regain control and also to use my nitrous. Also good to know that there are plenty of corners around here, so it means that I can basically pull away in the areas when I need to. It also means I'll have more time to regain the nitrous, which is also a good thing. And off the final corner, under the Yokohama Bridge, and speeding to victory. Oh, it was a Ford Mustang we had. Okay, so in this one we have a 206, an IS 300, a Corolla, a Focus, and a second Ford Mustang GT. As the margin of victory was basically 10 seconds from first to last, and winning by 2 seconds over Martin. Alrighty. One race down. I think there's one race to go in the second one, because I know that with the 4-lap races, they are not 3 races long. So, on to race 2 now. I can definitely say starting these races has been a bit easier. And through the right-hander we go. I get a little bit of a poor exit there, but still able to maneuver along. And it looks as though from here, like, I am pretty much going to be moving forwards. And through the final corner we go. It's going to take me over a minute to set the first lap. A minute and 6 seconds to be precise is how long it takes to complete lap 1. I still get a poor exit off of turn 1 because I ran wide. I should have lifted more on the corner exit and then I wouldn't have had the problem, but overall, I'd say we're doing okay, because I am leading. And went a little bit deep there into the corner, but still able to thread the needle nonetheless. And to prevent myself from coming into contact with the wall. And it looks like from here I am going to pull off yet another clean sweep. It should also be mentioned there is a total of 24 URL events that we need to do to complete this game. At least I'm pretty sure it'll be 24 by the time we're done with these. And through the hairpin once again, as I am continuing to lead over Martin. I can definitely say the margins this time around are a bit closer than they have been for a couple of episodes now, because I've bumped up the difficulty. But then again, it doesn't stop me from winning. It just makes the races a little bit more competitive. In other words, I'm basically not thwarting my opponents by absolutely stupid margins to the point of where, you know, the racing is just not fun. But either way, it really doesn't matter, because I am out in front with a lead. And that's about the only thing I really care about at this stage. Making sure that I make sure there is competitive racing, whilst also making sure that I pull off victories with relatively close margins in the process. And I think that's now the end of it. So, 5.6 seconds, the margin of victory over Martin. Carvey is third in the Lexus Lawrence fourth in his Toyota. Borwin drove the Ford Focus, he finishes fifth. And Liz, in the second Ford Mustang, is last. And there we go. 16 points to me, 12 to Martin. Kavi gets 8 points. Pretty much Noah's Ark in terms of our finishing positions, because we all finished in the same positions for both races. Basically. Anyway. Yeah, 300 rep points, baby. And another 7 grand. We are moving along very nicely at the moment. I am also glad to say the margins are a lot closer now than they were before. I've at least got to prove there is some element of competition with the URL events. I mean, come on. You can't just expect me to absolutely go out and decimate my competition when there's no reason to. And unlocked another car again, but not really bothered about that because all my car slots have been filled. And of course, as you might have guessed, I am not removing those cars. So 2 URL events are down, and no others have popped up on the map yet, so we basically need to go through all of these first. And this one comes in from Matt. Yo dog, you're gonna face some stiff competition on the track tonight. Some of these guys don't exactly play fair, and they just as soon run over you as go around you. Pick a good line and stay alert, and Pick a good line and stay alert, and you should make it to the finish. So, 2 URL events are down, and for this part of the segment at least, we have 3 to go, because I want to make the editing easier, and also because I don't want the video exporting to take as long. So, and also because I want to give the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 8 a bit more airtime. So we have a Mazda MX-5, a Toyota Corolla, a Pontiac GTO, a Nissan Skyline I think, a Toyota Celica, and it looks like it's going to be another 3 race event because 3 laps usually means 3 races, meaning that these races are basically going to be a lap shorter. And there is a reason why I'm doing this on the medium difficulty, because I really want to get these events over and done with, so then I can focus on taking down Caleb and then actually finishing the game. Caleb, in case you do or don't know, is basically going to be the final boss of this game in the career mode. In other words, he basically is the guy who very nearly killed us at the start of the game and practically left the player for dead. So in other words, the race itself, it basically is vengeance for what Caleb did to us at the start of the game. That's basically what the finale race more or less is. I also don't think Caleb is too hard to beat either. But I figured if I use the Evo to go up against Caleb, then I reckon it should not be too hard for me to get the career mode part of the game over and done with, which is basically what my intuition is telling me to do. Oh, that was a beautiful slide. That was really putting on the slide job. I actually really liked that. That was actually pretty cool. Anyway, through the final corner and using some nitrous. And there we go. One race down. Okay, so we had a Corolla, an IS300, an MX-5, a GTO, and a Celica as our competition in what is now URL event number 3 of stage 5. So those are your standings after one race. We have 2 races to go. So there is the starting order. I've always liked those BBS rims that are present on the Celica. At least no wait, hold on. Are those BBS or Ankai rims? I think they're BBS, but they could be Ankai. I don't know what manufacturers these rims the other opponents are running, but anyway. I now retake the lead from the MX-5, who takes the lead back again, doing the switchback. But it looks as though, from here, if I can just pull far enough ahead, I should basically take the lead for good. So, off the final corner we go, and through under the Yokohama Bridge. And through the hairpin we go, as I now have a 1 second lead over Gabriel. Ewan is third, and Matt is running in fourth. As I get a little bit of a slide there, as I was heading round the circular corner, and it looks as though from here I'm pretty much in a good position. I'm pretty much in a good position for now. As I am steadily pulling away from the pack behind me, and it looks as though it is going to be yet another win for me and my pony car. This pony is definitely racing like a stallion, and off the final corner. And there we go. Another race win. Gabriel second, Ewan third, Matt was fourth, Andrew fifth, and in last was Harlan in the Toyota Celica. 2 races down, we also have a tie for second between both Matt and Gabriel. Whoever finishes second in the final race will basically be the guy who takes second overall, but Doesn't matter where I finish, because I'm basically going to finish on top regardless, because I won the first 2 races. Now it's just 1 race to go, as I immediately use my nitrous right off the line, and I think someone nudged me there for a moment. Oh shit, yep, we are getting a bit hasty now. At least it appears to be that way. But it shouldn't matter, because I will take the lead with relative ease, and hopefully from here now I can start to build on my race lead as we head into this rather tight hairpin turn. It is possible to short shoot the hairpin as long as you don't go into the concrete, whilst you're basically cutting the corner, because, well, track limits don't exist in street racing games for obvious reasons. And we continue. As I am starting to pull away. And I got loose on the corner exit. What a surprise. I might have to consider restarting this if I go for a spin again. And the Corolla there was getting very aggressive. He basically shut the door on me. Okay, I keep it under control. Doesn't look like we're having any problems so far. And off the corner we come. We are now back into the lead, in spite of the spin I had going through the chicane. And 1 lap to go, as this time I'm going to keep my car in 2nd gear going through the chicane. That was a much smoother entry compared to before when I was in 2nd gear. And the car basically threw a tank slapper on me, which basically prevented me from getting through the corner. But nonetheless, I did reset the car. I briefly lost the lead, but then I retook the lead. And now, providing there isn't any more mistakes, this will pretty much be what clinches me the race win. Providing I don't make any more mistakes from here. Or at least not any big ones. So, off the final hairpin and down the front stretch we go. And there we go. Another URL event has been sweeped. And Matt takes home 2nd over Gabriel. So the Corolla came home 2nd with 15 points. Gabriel was 3rd with 13. Then it was the Lexus who came home 4th. Andrew was 5th in his Pontiac GTO, and it was Harlan who came home 6th in the Toyota Celica. Alright. Another maximum set of rep points, and 7 grand is now in the books once again. And since we've now done the first 3, and I've not had any problems so far, I will save the game to make sure that if anything does go wrong, I've at least managed to get through the first couple. And I will be right back once the game loads, because I need to go and sort something out. So anyway, once the game loads, I'll BRB. 3 of our 5 URL events for part 1 have now been cleared. And now, I think it's time for us to head for Bayview Airport to get through the last 2 URL events of part 1 in the stage 5 URLs. So that's what we are doing next. I'm also now up to 68 grand. And here is our first one by the airport. Hey man, you need to stay sharp for this race. URL is the best of the best, and these guys have mad skills. You're going up against some of the best racers in the city, so stay sharp. Am I ever not staying sharp, Adam? You name me one time where I have honestly not been sharp. During a URL event. Also, is this going to be a 5-lap event, or is it just going to be another 3-race event? So we got a Supra, an RX-7, a Ford Mustang, a Nissan 350Z, and a Toyota Celica. And it looks like it's going to be another series event of 3 races, because we are doing 3 laps. I literally had it, and then suddenly, right before my eyes, someone just had to tip me from behind, and just like that, because I was touched in the final corner, I just went straight into the wall, and basically it was just a race that was basically stolen from me. And I would have fucking had it as well if I didn't get turned straight into the wall in the chicanes. I would have had this one by now. I would have won that fucking race if it weren't for that. If it weren't for the 11th hour contact preventing me from clinching what should have been a certain win. But nope, the AI just decided, fuck you, I'm gonna dump you. And that's precisely what happened. And now because of that, I am pretty pissed off. Knowing I should have had this race over and done with by now, but the AI decided to pump me out of the way otherwise. They just punted me. And because of that, well, I'm basically gonna push as hard as I can just to make damn sure I get this race in the net this time. I'm gonna make absolutely sure this race is mine. Regardless of who is behind me. I will not be drilled by the AI in the final corner, just to suddenly lose a race that I both could have and should have won. I will not let them decide my fate. God, I hate that cornering section. It's just so fucking obnoxious. I don't understand how anyone can go flat out through there. It's just so fucking obnoxious. And I don't understand how anyone can just floor it through there. Either I'm missing something, or I'm just straight up terrible through that one section of corners. Where the AI can basically just hammer me. And basically leave my mediocre securities through those chicanes, and they can basically just run them over and basically leave me to rot. That's the one part about this whole course which I just hate. Oh, come on. Nope, not this time. Yes! Third time's the charm. After I narrowly edged out Eric for the win in the Toyota Supra. Adam was third in the second Ford Mustang. I think it was the guy who punted me off before. Nick was fourth in the Mazda RX-7, Jamie fifth, and Alden came home sixth in the Nissan 350Z. One race down, and still two to go, because these are 3-lap races. I really hope we don't have to do that fucking course again. Or if we do, at least let it be in the other direction, not the direction we just went. Okay, it's not the same course again. And what do you know, I'm starting at the back of the pack once again. And something got caught up in my throat. I really couldn't tell you what caused the thing that just came up. That just came up through my throat. And basically nearly caused me to choke on my own saliva. Okay. We are not on the same course again. We are racing on a course this time which I am actually okay with, because we don't have to deal with some awkwardly designed corners just to get through. Alright, one lap down. And hopefully this track will be easier for me to work my way around than the previous one was. So, our second race is on a course which I have some good history with, and I quite like the way this one is designed because it's a bit shorter. There's also easier corners to get your head around. I can also tell you the corners aren't too intimidating to thread your way through, and It's also nice to know that we actually get some pretty decent corners here. Alright, final lap. So, it's a close battle between Eric and Adam at this stage. It's been a pretty close race so far, but I am managing to hold my ground and gonna wait until the backstretch to use my nitrous as I'm power sliding through some of these corners, not intentionally, of course. Managing to keep it under control and using my nitrous and also building up some speed quite rapidly as I head through the corner at 184 and off the final corner, and basically wall riding my way to the win. So Eric came home second once again. Nick this time takes third away from Adam. Alden was fifth, and Jamie came home sixth. So those are your standings after 2 races. We have a tie for we have a tie for third, as well as a tie for fifth. Both of these will no doubt be sorted out in the next race. Just having a sip of water, and now it is time for the final race of the 3rd trilogy of races which we have now done in terms of the URL events of Stage 5 so far. I don't think we have many more to do, but I think all of these might be series events. There might be the odd single race event here or there if it's 5 laps long. Of course, I know that if a URL race is 5 laps long, it means it's a single race, and that was a beautiful drift. I'm not gonna lie, I actually thought that was a beautiful drift that I somehow managed to net my way through. That actually felt pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I do sometimes wish there were more tournaments in this game, but again, I have nothing against the URL events basically being the only tournament events we have to do in this game, because I would not be a fan of doing a drag tournament in this game, especially if you consider some of the struggles I went through with the drag strips that had the blind spots. I do wish there were more tournaments in this game, aside from the Underground Racing League events, because then it would have made a bit more sense, but I'm okay with just having the URL events as the only tournament events in this game, because we're racing on some pretty good racetracks. So Adam comes home second, he will therefore take third over Nick, and Jamie will take home 5th position over Alden. And there's the confirmation. So 24 points to me, 16 points to Eric, 13 points to Adam in the second Ford Mustang GT. Nick comes home 4th in the RX-7, Jamie 5th in the Toyota, and Alden was 6th in the 350Z. Jamie, by the way, is driving the Celica. Well, in the second Toyota, I should say. But anyway, more maximum rep, another 7 grand. I'm pretty sure that now puts my total up to 75, if I'm not mistaken. So, I think we just need to do one more URL event for this part, and then I will do the other ones either tomorrow or another day, because I can. And yep, it looks as though the other one has now popped up on the map. However, I will do one more event with the Mustang, and then once I am done with this, I will then call it an episode. Time for the last URL event of part 1, and the message is coming from Demetrius. You better pull it tight, because these cats are going to get you fully bent if you don't. They run with the top, and this is your chance to squeeze in. No time for fronting, so roll out mad and pull what you got to. Okay.
You know what you have to do, girl. I don't want to see any piece of that car across the finish line.
I won't have to do anything more than drive. He's nothing but a showboating loser.
Don't underestimate him. Do whatever, and I mean whatever it takes to tear him apart. Don't let me down. I'm counting on you, Nikki.
Honestly, I did not think this was going to be the race we were going up against Nikki. But now that we are going up against Nikki, well, basically I have to drive my ass off, more or less. But I can do that. I do have a good race car. I'm also pretty sure that I will be able to beat Nikki. Nikki, by the way, is the one in the back. In the grey Mustang. If you want to know which one is Nikki, she's the one in the grey Mustang. At least I'm pretty sure that's her ride. And it looks like it's going to be another 3-race tournament, so it's because we're doing 3 laps around each of the next few tracks. Basically driving 9 circuits around each of the 3 tracks, and basically it looks as though it's going to be another points race. And as I would have predicted, Nikki is currently not behind me. Even though Caleb did give the direct order to say whatever it takes to tear me apart. But I'm pretty sure at this stage that's not gonna happen. I think it is possible for you to ride the walls in certain corners where you can actually get a boost of speed. I mean, yeah, sure. I know it's very much a video game move, but there are certain corners where the technique can actually work. I mean, you only need to look at Ross Chastain to know someone who used a wall riding technique in real life and actually made it work. And Nikki is now up to 3rd, Angelo is running 2nd, and Andy at this time is running 4th. And through there we go. And once again, sliding into the wall, but using my mad skills and speed to keep myself ahead of the pack. And we just have 2 more corners to go, and then that'll be race 1 over and done with. I was not expecting this event to be the one where we took on Nikki. Well, I guess that must make this that little bit sweeter. So, in round 1, I proved to be the superior Ford Mustang GT. If you're asking for a formal name, by the way, it's Nicky Morris. So Nicky came home 2nd in the end of that race. Angelo was 3rd, Andy 4th, Dana 5th, and Demetrius was 6th in his Peugeot. Sucks to be him, I guess. Also, he was literally 7.01 seconds behind me. So, 1 race down, still 2 to go. Also, the reason why I have a bit more energy as well, because I am recording this the following day. And trust me, you do not want to know why that is the case. Oh, I actually get a head start bonus. That's actually pretty nice. I like that. That is actually pretty nice, I'm not gonna lie. And it looks as though everything is gonna more or less play out in this race the way the previous race did. And Nikki is right behind me. And all I really have to do at this stage is just basically stand my ground, and as long as I do that, then I should pretty much be okay. As long as I stand my ground and I don't make too many obvious mistakes. Hey, it actually works. I used a wall riding technique to actually gain some time. That does surprise me. Well, at least it means this time around I'm making it a close race. And it will also be a suitable send-off for the Mustang, because for the other 4 URL events, I will be using the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 8 and boosting across the line. 1 minute and 50 seconds is what it takes me to finish the race, winning by 3.33 seconds over Nikki, Andy 3rd, Angelo 4th, Demetrius 5th, and Dana comes home 6th. So we have 2 ties, but I'm pretty sure both of those will no doubt be sorted in the 3rd race, and that's all we have left. I also don't need to worry about any replays, because I got my replay quite early on in this segment. But anyway, final race of part 1 in the Stage 5 URLs. And Demetrius beats me off the line as we headed into turn 1. Angelo was on the outside. He was looking for a maneuver to try and get past me. It did not work. His attempts to overtake me had failed, and I am now out in front, basically running right where I need to be. And Nikki at the moment is currently nowhere to be seen, but I have no doubt in saying she will work her way through the pack at some point. Because Nikki does have a pretty fast car. I'm not gonna lie. I'd say Nikki's car is pretty fast. And no change in the leaderboard just yet. So... oh, okay, there she is. Yep, she's in 3rd. Well, I had a feeling she was going to be there in just a matter of seconds. Nikki, by the way, is also Caleb's girlfriend. Or, until we beat her, she will no longer be Caleb's girlfriend. Because she would technically be... I think the word I'm looking for is our alibi. Although she could be an ally. But anyway, yeah, you know. Well, basically, once we've beaten Nikki, she will become our friend. And she'll basically leave Caleb. Anyways, I win. And that only took me 11 minutes to do all 3 of those races. And Nikki finished 3rd in the end, behind Andy. So those are your race results. I beat Andy to the line by 1.75 seconds. I hope that's right. To the line in his Mazda RX-7 FD. Nikki was 3rd in the 2nd Ford Mustang GT, the grey Mustang by the way. Angelo was 4th in his Mitsubishi 3000 GT, Demetrius 5th, and Dana 6th in the Mazda RX-8. Those are your point standings. 24 points to me, 16 points to Nikki, 13 points to Angelo, 13 points to Andy, 10 points to Angelo, 5 points to Demetrius, and 6 points to Dana. 300 rep, 7,000 bank, and now we can return to explore mode. And reveal the cutscene following this event.
I told you! Do whatever it takes! What part of that didn't sink in?
Get out of my face! I raced straight up.
You better remember who you're talking to.
Or what? I don't need you.
Oh, really? What are you gonna do without me? You're nothing! It's only a matter of time before I run the whole show.
And maybe I'll make sure you don't.
You know, there was a bit of drama there, but either way, yeah. So the TLDR is, once the player has beaten Nikki to the URL event title, in that one event at least. Basically, Nikki walks out on Caleb. So, we have now done 5 of the 9 URL events, and we filled out all the other requirements, but I'm going to call it here for this episode and then get on with the other 4 URL events in the next segment, because I figure it'll make it easier for me to edit all this, and also for me to basically edit out the driving times that I might have to remove in between. So yeah, there is that. So 83% complete. 185 is where we currently stand on the overall races. Still a perfect win ratio, and we're now up to 82,400 credits. So that'll do it for this episode, and next time we will be doing part 2 of the URL events, coming in the next episode of Underground 2.
No one can rise, I need speed when I'm racing that strip. I got the bullet in the chip.